And that's a big thing with your new company that you started, Influencer, correct?
It is. So, the world is broken in sports when it comes to the relationship between sports teams and the individual brand ambassadors that represent them. And the new reality is these individual brands, whether they're recruits, current student athletes, former athletes, key alumni, they each have their own channel that's competing with other channels out there. And so big-time brands want to worry about their team channels on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, but they need to start worrying about the individual brand ambassador channels because their team channel, like Alabama football, has over 300,000 followers on their Instagram channel, but they have over 3 million unique followers on Instagram when you add up all the different brand ambassadors that represent them. So how can they get the content and messaging they're creating out to not just their team pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but out to the Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts of their current athletes, their former athletes, and their recruits? And that's what we help not just college sports teams do, but eventually we're going to get into the pro sports realm, helping them do it as well because it's a big problem that exists.
It is, and I've noticed that on Instagram or Twitter. You would think these pro teams in any of the sports would have more followers and more of a presence on social media, other than probably the Patriots or the Packers, right? These pro teams are struggling to find ways to do that.
People don't follow brands. They follow people.
Yeah.
Think about it. Who do you interact with most
Especially
on social
in the
media?
NBA. The NBA
follow people. And not just outside of sports even too, right? Like as you guys are building your personal brands and your personal voices on Twitter, it's helping the Yellowhammer Radio brand. But it's important that the personal brand has a presence. And so, these athletes, pro and college, are being told of the horrors of the bad stories on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram of athletes. And we could all name them right now and joke about them, but those are all don'ts. I have 3 kids. I don't just teach my kids the don'ts. I teach them the do's. They're going to be on social media, these athletes, for 90 minutes or more a day. What do they do? You think that they're just going to come up with it alone? Because they're channels, and they need to think of themselves like channels. When I was a kid, and it's funny saying that prefix to you guys, because I remember when everybody used to say it to me when I was your age, but I grew up in the 90s. We had 30 TV stations. That's it. 3 of them were sports channels. My dad grew up before that. He had 3 channels, period, right? ABC, NBC, CBS.
Right.
Now we have billions of channels because each of these individual Instagram channels are channels of their own. And athletes aren't just showing up on campus and getting the likeness from their school's brand. Now they're showing up with a likeness already. Look at the Ball kids at UCLA.
Right.
LaMelo Ball is a senior in high school, has 1.4 million Instagram followers. He averages over 20,000 live viewers on Instagram Lives he does, tying his shoes. So what do you do with that if you're UCLA or if you're the father? We've seen him say, I don't want the school to make money off my kids. I'm going to. I'm not saying I'm agreeing with that. I know there's a lot of skeptics out there.
I love his brand.
But I just got to say, it's all
get
about the middleman. And social media allows you to cut out the middleman. But when you cut out the middleman, if you're not going to use the ESPNs of the world, you don't have writers, producers, videographers, and everybody controlling and building your content, you got to create it yourself.